upcoming budget, what are your expectations from the budget?
Okay, so me being working in the digital era, and I've been heading the department as a whole, and right now, digital is always going up with all the business. It's the backbone of every business that is lying. So it also comes under a service sector which charges 18% GST. So if I have to grow my business, also be competitive with the prices that the others are offering. So of course, 18% GST is something that I would expect to maybe, give me in a better position that I can draw profits as well as grow my business. And even a second perspective to this being, me being 28-year-old. Of course, when I look at my mama that she's been handling and being a homemaker, managing the budget of the house, the things are also being expensive in that front as well. So that is something is also that I would want to lower down a bit if could be a possibility.
So would you elaborate on, what would you see, as your mother being a homemaker, what is it that, you're expecting from the budget for her?
Yeah, so basic necessities that we've been having at house, maybe fruits, vegetables, or maybe the food articles, or even by that sense travel as well. So she is not a person who's going to catch a Uber and Ola because she's not that quick and handy about it. But of course, when the auto rickshaw prices and the basic necessities are going higher is something that affects the budget as a whole in terms of the household. So that is also something that I would like to, put forward if that could be a thing that can be made provision of.
And when you speak of the 18% GST,
Yes.
Because you work in a digital agency, so how do you see? Do you see that? Do you expect that that should be reduced, or what are your expectations from it basically?
Of course, a bit reduced price because when I quote an X thing, and if there are a few industries which could not even reimburse that GST, so that is why the client pays a higher price to pay to me, but at the end of it, they are not getting any reimbursement towards it. So yes, one could be a possibility that they can get the reimbursement, or else the reduction of the percentage would be the best quote for me.
So as a practicing psychologist, my immediate attention directly just goes to mental health. I think it's immensely important that there is a significant amount in the budget allocated for mental well-being. You might have heard that there has been a recent case of suicide. A JE student, a 19-year-old girl, she attempted suicide and she left behind a note saying she's not able to do it and she passed away. Similarly, there has also been a massive increase in farmer suicides. So I think it's very important that we recognize mental health as a country and also allocate some part of our budget for it, because it's leading to so many deaths year after year and the number is not reducing. It's only increasing, which is very saddening. So
when you speak of allocating some amount to mental health, how do you see? Do you see it as in health care, or do you see some kind of subsidy being granted to specific criteria of people, or what is it? How do you see this progressing further?
Right. So when we talk of healthcare, we're always thinking of physical ailments or diseases. People do not consider mental health to be a part of healthcare. It is not actually that. Mental health is also, it comes under healthcare. So I think there has to be something specific for healthcare that would motivate people and also remove the stigma attached to mental health. If there is something specifically towards mental health, that is when people will be more open in talking about it, and it will also help to reduce the number of suicides that happen.
So do you also see that so far there has not been that focus on healthcare in the previous budgets?
Yes.
How do you see that? What do you have to
I think so far mental health has been like in the shadows. It's healthcare is there, but there is no mental health care, which is what is important, which is something that is not as talked about as healthcare.
As I am a student, I would love to learn more and do my master's further. So when I look at the education loans, so it's something which affects me because I want to learn more, and the loans which are there, the interest is very high, which sometimes affect my education, and I would keep my education a little back and think about how to pay my loans and all. So I would love that if there be a affordable loan interest in education.
Okay. And going further, as a Mumbaiker, what is it that you see, or what that you expect from the budget?
So I'm a middle class girl, so I travel by train every day. So the AC trains which are newly launched are affecting me because the tickets are very high, and because of the AC trains, the normal trains has reduces. So that thing is affecting me. So I would love that if government would decrease the AC train and keep the normal train going on.
And as a student, of course you've spoken of the loans, earlier loans and things like that. But how would you want that to be taken further in this budget?
I would love if the interest, it will be a little lower for as a student perspective, because I will pay the loan as a student. So I would say if it is a little low, so it would be a good thing.
Some of my expectations about the upcoming budget were that I wish India would spend a little more on its youth, because it's less than just a handful percentage, and I feel like since it's such a young company, we should definitely allocate more resources toward educating and giving more exposure to its young citizens. But other than that, in all honesty, with this inflation, it's getting a little tougher every day to lead an independent life, because as I grow up, I have to become more self-sufficient, but with the rising inflation, it's becoming a little tougher.
So when you say about India looking after its youth more, or spending more on its youth, what is it that you expect, or how do you think they can be more focused towards youth in the budget?
So I know that there's a lot of aspects to it. There could be access to resources. I know there are resources out there, but maybe allocating a little bit more budget toward making them more visible, because there are so many resources, but they are not visible because there's no budget to make them more known. So with this, when you just in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that just more budget to equip young professionals so they can think self-sufficiently, make and execute decisions in a more professional manner, and then also make decisions in a way that can in turn help India and give back to India, because India has invested in its youth. So by thus garnering more exposure, more education, and access to resources, so they can lead self-sufficient lives in a better way and not have to depend on, say, parents, or just lead executive decisions in a much better fashion.
So by resources, do you mean training, or when you're speaking of inflation, do you mean the taxes, or how do you see, how would you elaborate that basically?
So resources can be a lot of things. Say now there's a lot of different fields, so maybe a little more training, and I know there are a lot of existing resources, but a little more, if they are visible, they're more visible, then more people can access them, more people can face, more people can gain a lot of development, and they can grow. So this will cause growth, and resources meaning training modules, or just about education about the scope of different say fields, and how to, when we talk about scope, then how to access that education so we can just develop further, something like that, because as when I was in school, when I was in college, I would have definitely liked to see or learn, have more workshops or seminars, or be able to network with professionals, so I can know more about the scope, what scope there is, what resources I have access to, how I can gain an education about my area of interest in a more effective fashion.
So do you mean there should be exemption when it comes to the amount that's been allocated, or do you think there should be a specific amount that should be allocated in it, or for that matter, do you think that there should be some kind of benefits, or if there are such resources taken, there should be some kind of tax benefit that you all should get as working professionals?
Definitely, I feel like if we have some form of reimbursement, then we will be able to invest more in it, because we know that a percentage of it is going to be reimbursed. Because just like a business, if I'm studying but I'm also leading a business, I would like some of my business expenses and my education expenses to be reimbursed, because I'm in turn investing in India and helping them grow by just taking education and developing myself. So by investing in India, I would like to investing in myself, I would like to invest in India. And I would like India to invest in me so I can invest back.
I feel there are a lot of honest taxpayers in this country. So in case our tax reforms can provide for some relief to taxpayers when they lose their jobs, or somebody who's in business and has been consistently paying taxes, and that person faces a difficulty in business, maybe there is some provision, some window of relief given to those honest taxpayers. As a homemaker, I feel that there should be budgetary provisions for skill-based education. So as a mother of 2 teenage children, I feel it's not just primary, secondary education. The education has to be oriented in a manner that the moment you say a person is qualified or educated, person has enough opportunities to start earning for himself, become independent. Encouragement towards travel so that children get more experiences while they are studying should be encouraged. So if these can be incorporated in the budget, it will be nice.
Hi, I'm Chaitali and I'm an artist by profession. So actually speaking, I was a marketing student who switched my passion into work, and I had a very big financial support from my husband to help me hone my skill set. I went to a beautiful college after I got married. But I see many women, such women who have beautiful skill sets, but the education is very important. You know, to hone a good skill set, you need a very good education also, a very qualified education. So to hone such education, obviously be it online or going to colleges, they require that kind of funding. So if the government could help such women, married women or people who are above, having marriage but kids, and they can still study, I think that will be a great benefit to them. Also, my husband runs a manufacturing unit. So over there, we have a lot of women staff working with us. But I see a lot of my other associations where they don't like to have women with them because obviously women get married, they start having children. So a lot of absentees and not being loyal to their work. But we, as an industry, we find women are very dedicated and sincere. Be it if they're even working part-time, they're very sincere. So I would really request the government to help those industries who are empowering more women, give them better subsidies because they have more working women, under them. So in turn, I think almost all industries will start having more women working with them, and then we don't need a particular reservation or anything for women. It is all equality in short, So with a healthy ecosystem, I think everything can be established. It's just understanding each other.
So what is your expectation from the upcoming union budget when it comes to the infrastructure, especially about the education sector?
So, hello, my name is Shoaib Shakil. So, coming to the expectations of the upcoming things, what I'm looking forward to this budget in matters of infrastructure in education, I would say the government should allocate more funds towards private and public sector, let it be in the fields of education, also post-education, the fields of placement. There should be a little more money spent on infrastructure so that there is more quality of development. And I would also like to suggest that when an educated person, let's say a master's student or an undergrad student graduates college, should get the right amount of placement, what has been deserved according to their education. So I think that should be invested, and I think things should be invested there. That's one point. And the other point, a little more funds to be allocated on the basis of infrastructure, like I mentioned, but also to innovation, so that a little bit of student innovation or innovation that come in hand can be promoted by the government, so that could lead to more placements, because innovation does come in the need of necessity, and now I think we need the necessity for innovation.
I think that government should provide 0% interest budget for loans for the highest students to pursue their higher studies. And most of the companies are leaving China and coming to India, and it could be the great initiative for the Indians to increase the employment in this way.
I am expecting that the Indian government would boost the students of India to become at par with the international competition. So this will benefit them. So when this skill-based education for students, it helps them to be prepared for what's out there, and it also makes them ready to compete not only with the national level but also other countries. Maybe first world countries have better chance and a better chance at learning more. So Indian students, if they have the push of the government, they'll be able to penetrate that market as well.
What I think is that the union budget, the startups in India, they are growing in numbers but not in sense of development, and I feel that the government can put an investment forward for this issue, and especially the zero interest, if they can put an investment for this startup, I think that will help the industry grow even more.
As compared to the other countries, the proportion of budget that has been allocated for education sector, I feel it's much lesser. I feel the government should increase the allocation towards education, especially considering the fact that India is a country with a much higher proportion of youth population. So to accommodate for that, I feel there should be much, as compared to other countries, there should be a much more allocation for education. And there should also be some way to ensure that, the people are getting educated, and despite that, even the students who are having a higher education, they are the ones which much lesser opportunities in the employment field. So that should be something that should be looked upon.